We're creating a film to try and find out what people's understanding is of data analytics and data-driven communication. We'll be asking things like, what is data? What is analytics? And also, how can we visualize data to help better understand what it is that we are referring to? So doing research, doing filmed research, doing interviews in a pandemic is fraught with difficulties. Not only do we have to socially distance, we have to wear masks, and we don't have access to people. At the moment, this should be a thriving thoroughfare full of students. Right now it's empty because students, except for special categories, are not allowed on campus. What is data?
It's information.
Information.
Oh no. I think it's any sort of information that can be stored digitally.
Data is another term of information.
Data is something which is related to numbers.
Data is the collection of a lot of information.
Data is information.
Statistics and facts.
Data is like a group of numbers or like information collected.
Information.
Data is some sort of information.
Data is, I think data is information.
Analytic is basically analyzing.
Analytics, to simply put, I will say to understand and to break things down and dissection. Yep.
Oh no. I think it's something like the process of like just like running through all that data and then like trying to pick up trends, trying to like predict future trends, something like that.
Analyzing the data, analyzing the information.
Analyzing something.
Analytics, no idea.
Analytics, I would think, actually not too sure.
Analytics is a whole new term used to analyze that particular data so it has some useful outcome.
Like analysis?
Analyzing and processing that information.
Analytics is when after you collect all the data, after that you interpret.
Analytic is studying data, I think. So data analytic would be studying data.
Data analytics, to me, refers to a complex process of analyzing data to get something of predictive value from it.
Collecting data about how like the general population behaves and like everyone's like preferences, and then like trying to like find a trend in it.
Collecting and also researching of data and information about the past experience of certain occasions or certain experiences from the people, a group of people.
Like collective data from a group of people, and researchers use it for to analyze, to find an outcome.
Analyzing data?
To me, I think it's like analyzing data with the technology that we have now.
Data analytic to me is immediately research methodology comes to my mind.
You're analyzing something and it's not something which is very easy to do, so it requires professional help.
Data is the new oil, they say. So data analytics, I guess it's something about to understand the patterns and understand information that is presented to us in our daily lives through the many technological platforms that we use, one of that being social media. So data analytics could easily mean understanding human behavior and pattern from demonstrated data.
Mostly when we talk about data analytics, it's fully about database. So that's how I understood about it. Nothing much because I'm not more into that. So this is my basic understanding on data analytics.
Data analytics, I'm pretty sure it's like a survey where an interviewee just asks a lot of people questions based on their knowledge, isn't it?
I'm honestly not too sure. I assume it's looking at big data and coming up with conclusions to help something.
Data analytics, well, what can we use that data to change or to produce better work?
Data analytics is all about analyzing raw data from various sources to extract valuable insights from it.
I think data analytics to me means that you're working with a large amount of information or data in general, and you're trying to create knowledge from it, make meaning from it.
Data analytics for me, it have these three process. That's why we cannot just say analyzing data, because it involves three parts: collecting, analyzing, and execution part. I know execution is not very academic term to explain this phenomenon or but since it is a new field, it is a new thing that we are learning here and providing in the research. So I would just put it in a simple term: execution.
There is so much misunderstanding about what data analytics is. A lot of people just kind of reworded data analytics by saying, oh, it's all about analysing data. It is about analysing data, but it's a whole lot more than analysing data. It's about making data meaningful. It's about collecting data in the right way. It's being able to communicate that data, be able to visualize that data, be able to find different ways of understanding and appreciating data.
Data-driven communication easily could mean conversations or information being passed from one end to another end from the kind of information that is available to us primarily through the internet.
Something similar to social media algorithms, maybe. Maybe it's like the whatever devices we're using just like collects the data about the type of content we're like seeing, and then what we're searching up, and then like it feeds back to us that similar vein of content.
Data-driven communication. I think it means something related to communications.
Data-driven communication. Probably a company where they collect data, I think.
Communication with people based on data.
Have you heard of the term data-driven communication?
Yes, I have.
And what does it mean to you?
It means it basically looks at, if I'm not mistaken, at demographics and how to use data in a more targeted way.
Discussion amongst a group of people about the data.
Data communication mean to me, okay, just now data analytics.
Now it's data-driven.
Data-driven communication. Okay, so I don't want to be the guy who would rearrange word on it, but for this question maybe I will have to, So for data analytics, communication is communication through data analytics or using data, okay?
How do you really ask a question?
No, that was what have you learned about data-driven communication. Now the next one is, what does data-driven communication mean to you?
Mean to me?
Yeah.
That was the whole thing I was saying the whole time. Essential.
Data-driven communication is all about using data to drive our communications. So for example, in the news media, It's used an awful lot, increasingly, where news institutions will extract data from a whole variety of sources and then analyze that data and communicate it as news to the outside world, to the general population.
Data-driven communication is the use of data analytics in assisting us communicators to create, to craft messages to be communicated to target audiences.
Communicating data is about telling stories, and currently the best two ways that I can think of is you tell those stories through pictures, through images, or you tell those stories through oral stories, like a news story, for example.
Again, I'll say how we can use numbers in helping us to communicate better.
Data-driven communications is something that most people entering the communications industry needs to be aware about. They need to learn it, they need to understand it, they need to be able to look at data and be able to interpret it and use it to their advantage. And as someone who has been in the communications industry, who's teaching communications, I feel like most of us still don't quite know what it is, and that's going to affect how we work in the future.
Because in our future, which is yet to come, data will play a major role, and to understand it, we should start now.
It's communication that is data-led. So we make best use, we collect as much of the data that's important, we analyse it, and then we use that data to drive our communications, whether it's at a board meeting, whether it's on social media, whether it's on a news casting site, on the TV, on other forms of media and so on, whether we're talking with our boss, with our colleagues, with our employees, with our students and so on.
You can drive anything with data, and the more information you have, the better you will be able to create something impactful. You need knowledge to be able to move people, to make people understand things. And especially in communications, you need to communicate something. Understanding your audience, understanding the information behind your message will make things clearer, better for any kind of communications.
So many questions, it's just the worst putting around. Can data drive communication?
Yeah.
Day-to-day context, daily context, when you're talking to strangers, hardly we can use data to enhance it. But in a much more broader, like a mass communication context, mass comm context, mass media context, yes, data can really help.
Data can drive communication, yes. But I think there's a caveat here. I think we still need to be careful because there's a lot of misunderstanding still about not only what data is and what data analytics is. For data to be able to drive communication, we need to make sure that the data we are using to drive communication is reliable. And finding ways to make that data reliable and understandable will help us drive communication. The reason we need to be really careful is it can also help proliferate things like fake news and so on. So if you're using bad data or you're misusing data, then the proliferation of fake news is one of the big dangers, I believe.
I think it can help predict future trends in the stock market or something, and then analyze consumer behavior, and then increase corporate profit.
Offer better services to people, to give people the best solutions to their problems, to their crises. This could be from day-to-day, everyday life tasks. It could be about a person boarding a train, taking a bus to work, or it could be helping them solve problems at the workplace. It could also, be very, very important, for example, ensuring your home security when parents are away and children have to be at home. All of this can be used to solve problems around us on a daily basis. Yeah, not only the complex ones.
It could be useful sometimes.
To me, data analytics is actually useful. If without data analytics, we won't be able to do our work.
It must have a predictive value so we can plan ahead.
I think you can relate data analytics to everything in the world, because now, since technology is overtaking, is monopolizing the world, I think data is very, very important.
Basically, at the current point of time, data analytics being used for a corporate purpose, is for the businesses, and also to sustain the good economic.
I'm sure it is for businesses. I think anything, even in institution, only if you know the relevant information, you can do things.
To be, if we talk about, frankly, we talk about everything, we need the data. Even our mobile phone, even our daily activities also we consider data. So it's the most important thing in our life is about, we need to analyze all the data to keep ourselves become more successful.
Yes, it is, because you can come up with like a more accurate and more optimal end result. So example, if you're looking for a new research or a new solution to a problem, collecting data can find the best, like average or most optimal result for the thing that you're looking for.
Wow, working on the research about data communication was tough.
Data communication or data analytics is not really my field, so I have to do a lot of readings.
Quite challenging project to work with.
There were some modifications that needed to be made because of the COVID-19 pandemic, so working with new limitations was quite interesting for me.
Working with many talented people and in our faculty itself, producing something very extraordinary, I think.
So to answer what was it like to working on this project, there's a lot of reading, a lot of research.
And a steep learning curve, I think, not only for myself, but my fellow researchers as well. So it was tough, fulfilling, and I think I learned a lot.
The hard part, the difficult part, the challenging part, I would say, is the reading, catching up and understanding how data can drive communication.
The biggest challenge with the MCO?
One word I would say, pandemic.
One of the hardest things working on this project was trying to understand whether people truly knew what data analysis was, or data analytics.
And then, even though it's about data-driven communication, being able to communicate the ideas of the project to other people was also difficult. Getting people to understand what the project was about, getting people to even understand the questions that we were asking often proved a difficult process.
The way I visualize data is just kind of just tiny packets of like digital information that's like stored in the computer, like it's a specific sequence of numbers.
I think it's important that we don't make it so mysterious. We need to make it more accessible.
I don't think we've found the best way of communicating data yet. Most people suggest that we communicate data through visualization, so the use of images, pictures, graphs, and so on.
Wow, it's kind of hard, right? It's not like day to day, before you talk to someone, you use the data to check about the random